The journey of life is such a beautiful one. However, along this path, we also experience some darkness. We experience storms, disappointments, heartaches, and lots of pains. Welcome, guys, back to Motivations and Memoirs. If this is your first time, a special welcome to you. My guest today, as we continue under the theme, my life, my purpose, his praise. And what an awesome journey it has been so far. I give God thanks for you wonderful people and for all the persons coming in. So my guest today is Lady Alicia Anderson. She's the director for Life to Rebirth. And this is her brainchild project, I will call it that. That was birthed through her own pains, her own struggles, her own disappointments. And she will tell you, what her journey has been. Of course, this project of hers is geared towards restoring the faith and love of persons who have experienced some dark corners and some dark areas of their lives where they have probably become tainted based on this. Alicia is a victim of circumstances, which she'll tell you, and that she's gonna tell you with, no reservations. She uses her circumstance, however, to share her testimony with others. She shares at school, she testifies at church and even in workplaces. She has also done several interviews with persons, right? And also on Facebook, she shares her story. She shares it on TikTok. She has also shared it on YouTube. She's an upcoming author as well, and stay tuned with us, you will hear more about that. So rather than plunging herself in despair because of her circumstance, she testifies about the goodness of God. Welcome, Lady Alicia, to Motivations and Memoirs. It is such a pleasure to have you sharing with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you
You
so much
are
for having me.
You're most welcome. So I see you out there, and as I said, no reservations in sharing your story. Amen. Because you believe that even though you were hurt, along life's journey, you also have a responsibility to tell others that yes, you may have been damaged by someone, whether it was intentionally or not, but there is life after rebirth. Go ahead, Lady Anderson, and share your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, world. Good morning and good day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, I'm always asked this question, and I'm like, okay, where do I start? But in 2004, I found out that I was infected with HIV. Now, did it start in 2007? Sorry. I don't know why I keep on using 2004. I think it's because I found out at age 24.
Okay.
So I'm getting the date with about 2007. At age 24, that's when I found out that I had HIV. Did it start there? I don't think so. I think looking back, it started at a very young age, where I was just looking for love. I was brought up in church, but the church I grew up in was you could go there, live in sin, and could still come church and worship God. And I just always thought that something was wrong with that. So would leave church and then we go to soca, carnival, having fun, and then we go to church Sunday. So growing up, I got molested several times. I ended
Oh.
up getting raped in my teenage years. And because of that, Jamaican people would say I became promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just really looking for love in the wrong places. So at age 24, by that time, I'm used to drinking like five, six different liquors mixed up together. I'm used to smoking a 20 pack in less than half an hour. And I'm having
Oh.
unprotected sex.
Mm-hmm.
At age 19, I start broke out, meaning that's the first time I went to clubs and stuff. And I enjoyed doing that. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I'm doing that, but I'm still going to church. But the thing is that even though I was going to church 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, I never felt comfortable. And I just thought that it was wrong to party and then we go into church. So I'd feel uncomfortable, but I believe the Lord was pulling me to still come.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2006, I met, no, 2005, I met this guy. We exchanged numbers. Now, let me just say this. All the guys that I'm going to talk about, I met them at my work. So in 2005, I met this guy. He told me he had a baby mother. And I'm like, we can't be friends. And he was like, why we can't be friends? I said, because y'all men don't know what friendship means. You say one thing, but you want something else. So I had cut him off. So in 2006, he came back to my workplace. We exchanged numbers. He took me out, and something I'm not proud of, but we slept on the first night, and it was
Mm-hmm.
unprotected. And I felt so guilty because I'm like, Alyssa, what are you doing? What if you get pregnant? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about the STD, STI, because STI, STD and STI back then wasn't really that prevalent. It wasn't in our
Right.
faces like how it is now. So I'm just thinking, I hope I don't get pregnant because I don't want to get pregnant in my parents' house. So I was talking with him in 2016, to September 2016. Sorry, 2006. I, I'm not sure what's going on with the dates, but in 2006, September, we started talking, but I realized that this guy just didn't mean me any good. The only time he saw me or wanted to see me was when he wanted to sleep with me. And
Oh.
that had to be done out of town, not in Kingston. And I said, you know what, Alistair, you don't deserve this. This man is not taking me out for dinner, to the movies, even clubbing. He's not doing anything. It's just to sleep with you. So I ended the relationship with him in 2000, October 2006. There was this other guy that I knew from work. He liked me from a long time, but I was always in a relationship and I never really looked on him like that. When we exchanged numbers, he said to me, you know, no, I think one night I was out and he asked me where I was and I told him and he said to me he's gonna come by. He came by where I was, we're hanging out, having fun, drinking, dancing, and then he dropped me home. So we continued the conversation and he explained to me that he has a baby mother, but she's going to go overseas and he doesn't really get the butterfly in the stomach anymore for her. So I said, okay. And even when he said that, a part of me was like, Alyssa, what are you doing? This is not you. You've always said you don't want to be a man's second best. What are you doing here? But I ended up there. We slept together a couple times. So the September guy, which I'm gonna label them guy number one, guy number two, and guy number three. Guy number one is coming back into the picture. So what he's doing, he is trying to mess with my emotions to get me vulnerable for him to move back in. And it always worked. But back then I wasn't picking up that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he one day looked at me when we were on our way into the country and he said, Alistair, you can't run your life like that. I said, what you mean? He's like, you can't jump from one relationship to the other. And I'm like, what is he talking about? It's not like I'm with him. I'm with this guy. So as I said, I was in church, but not as in church as how I am now. So between September, October, November, December, is the first guy, the second guy left the first guy, the second guy were together, but the first guy is moving back in. So I remember one day I felt a hardening where my groin area is. And I remember going to my sister and she says, it could be an ingrown hair. I didn't know that at the time what I was feeling, what they call a wax and kernel, which is a hardening where your groin area is, and it's very painful. And I remember between September to December, I remember that there were times when these men would have sex with me. And it was always, we call it in Jamaica, either hardcore sex or rough sex, or they call it, it's a hard, I would just say hardcore or daggering. That's what we call it here. And I literally felt like the inside of me was coming on the outside. That's how hard they were doing. And I remember the January I went to Genesis when we used to have Genesis in Jamaica, the gospel concert. I went and I remember that night I left there and I went to the second guy's house. Now, backtracking, God is very strategic in how he does stuff because from the 2006 August, God was allowing ministry persons to be in my mix, gospel artists to be in my mix. So by this time, January, when Genesis is going on, I was friends with a particular gospel artist. Up to date, he just emailed me yesterday too. Um, he said to me, Alicia, stop playing with God. And I said, I'm not playing with God. He says, when God ready for use you, you're going to be so mighty and stuff. And I was like, I'm not playing with God. It's just like, it's a struggle. God wants me, the devil wants me. I'm between, and they're pulling me both ways. So it's like I'm confused. One minute I want the things of God, the next minute I want to just live life. And he told me that these two guys did not want me. They were just using me, they didn't want me. And I think I broke it up with them and then I went back. Yeah, I did go back. And the last time I slept with the second guy, I said to him, I have no condoms because I had already told him that the first guy was coming back and he wasn't using condom. And he said, I used to have to start using condoms because, I'm going home to my baby mother on weekends and stuff. So I said, okay. So the night when I slept with him, he didn't have any condoms. I didn't have any either. And he said to me, I'm just going to pull out of you because that's what these men did. There was no condom. We never used protection. And they just said that they would pull out because they knew my concern of getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So um, he said, Alicia, I'm too tired. I'm just going to pull out. I said, okay. That was the last time I slept with him. The first guy, I had stopped sleeping with him. And, I decided that, what, let's forget about this. So there was the third guy now. He used to always come to my workplace and he was like bothering me. And I said, you know what? Just give him a try to get him off my back. And I only slept with him once. And when I slept with him, likewise the other guys, because of the rough sex, I would always get a tear down there. But with the last guy, this tear would not go away. I ended up having to go to the gynecologist and she gave me something for it. So by the time I ended it with everybody, I decided, Alicia, this was a risky business. You need to get yourself sorted out because this is not you. Go get yourself sorted. And I went to the medical place right across from my workplace and I said, do you have anything for STDs, STIs? I want to run a test. So she said, there's a panel of tests, ran the test, and everything came back negative. And I'm like,
Came
okay,
back
negative. Everything was
negative.
negative.
Okay.
Right. So everything is negative.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And with that, I was happy and I was like, okay, good. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't go back there, Ali. You're good. So I remember my sister called me and I was telling her of the experience, right? And let me tell you something. She said, Alyssa, thank God that you're okay because you can't look on somebody for, look on them with your naked eyes and see that they have anything. And I said, okay. And she said, well, next time just protect yourself. Then I was at work, my coworker was saying, Ali, read this. And I was like, I can't read this. I'm very emotional, very sensitive to certain things. It's not that I have anything against persons who are living with it, but it was a Carlstone and Rosie Stone story. The book is called No Souls Unturned. And she was featured in the Observer, and I'm Observer and Gleaner, and I'm like, oh no, I can't read this. not knowing that the Lord was strategically preparing me for what was to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because the end of April, I had to do a life insurance test. And I wasn't worried because my done test match and me good. The home girl is
Right.
good. But when I did the test in the April, he called me. Guy number one called me. And when he called me, he said to me, "Where are you?" So I told him, he says, "Why are you there?" So I explained that my godfather is into insurance. And he said that they have to change the policy, they have to do a medical. So I'm like, okay, no problem. He said, "So what does it consist of?" So I told him, he said, "So why you have to do that one?" I said, "Because it's a part of the requirement." And he asked me again. And I'm not thinking, why is this man asking me this? So I said to him, but I said, you know that I'm okay because I went and I did my test in March and I'm good. Focus about the whole medical thing because when I went to the doctor said, asked me if I had any underlying. I said to her that diabetes from a teenager, sinus, and a lot of joint pain. She said, whatever it is, they pick it up. So I'm like, I hope it's not cancer. So I forgot about the whole blood work and everything, but I kept on seeing missed calls on my phone. When I checked it out, I thought it was my godfather. So I'm saying, why is he calling me from the office phone? Why not from cell to cell? So May 20th to be exact is when I got the phone call. I was told that I need to come in. I said, is it serious? She said she can't discuss that over the phone. I said, okay. So I called guy number one and I said, why would they call you? He said, what and what you do. So I told him. He said, that's what you have. I said, what? He says, that's what you have. So I said, but if I have it, you have it. Him saying, no, nothing, we just got it and done. I'm like, you know what? Come off of my phone. I met up with a friend of mine. He had a cousin that worked in the insurance place. So we called her. She said that the reason why they would call you is because they're not going to give you the insurance. I was like, God, is what could have caused this? No.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went in May 21st, I got the shock of my life. When I went into that office, normally I would ask, can I close the door? The doctor told me to close the door. And she asked me to step out for a moment, then come back in and to close the door. She said, have a seat. She said, Alicia, your diabetes is out of control. So in my mind, me I say, tell me something that I don't know, please. When she said the HIV, I said, what? Like my eyes were so clouded, tears were flowing. I couldn't understand. And I said, Doc, I'm confused. I said, I took a test March. It's negative. So she explained to me that there's something called a window period. And
Right.
when they tested me in March, I didn't have enough antibodies to show that I had it. So when they tested me in April, I would have gotten back the results in end of April, but May, it looked like the Lord was just trying to prepare me. So when I got it, I literally she asked me for all of the persons that I slept with. I give her from early as a childhood till now. And she said, they would call them to let them know, you know. I thought it was up to me. I owed them that much to call them and tell them. So she said, it could be a lab error, so you can retest. So I'm like, I'm praying, fasting, stop eating, hoping that this thing is just a lab error. When I reached back to work, in fact, before I reached to work, I felt like committing suicide. I felt like running
Oh.
across the road to let somebody hit me. I didn't care who was going to go to prison. Me just know say I'm ending my life today. I went back to work, texted him, and I said, this is guy number one. I said, it is what it is. He said, good luck to you, girl. So I said, what is that supposed to mean? He said, I said, but if I have it, you have it, you need to go get tested. He said, and I'm not, we're just like a dead and done. So I called him and thank God I'm not the same person I was back then because I had lighted him up with some not so good words.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the second guy and I told him, he said, Alicia, I can't believe the one thing I say I'm not going to die for. That's what I'm going to die of. And if he find out that he has it, he's going to send somebody to kill me. And the third guy, I wasn't in any connection with him at the time because he was stressing me out till he began to stalk me. So when I finally saw him, I told him, he said to me, Alicia, sorry to hear that. I hope you're on your meds. and I hope you're taking care of yourself. So that, guys, that is how I found out that I was HIV positive.
It is ironic that you did mention the window period for persons
Right,
who, because this is what a lot of persons do. So you go and you have unprotected sex, and then you run and you get
right,
tested. But the
right,
results that you're receiving is not for the immediate. So it would be in the last
mm,
3 months, it would be prior to that. But a lot of persons, and that was why you thought you were safe, because you had gotten tested and
right,
the test came back negative,
right,
right? Because all the antibodies were not yet, at that place where they could give an accurate result.
right, right.
Mhm.
Guys, the first guy came to my workplace in the night, and that's when things started running through my mind. I'm like, okay, that's why this, that's why that. And I remember he's the first guy that I ever met who was sickly like me, meaning like every week I'm getting sick because of my immune system. He
Mhm.
always had like symptoms. And I'm like, wow. And when you looked at his forehead, you could see that it looked like eczema he had. And
Whoa.
he had a son that was very young, but he always had this racking cough. And I know it because I used to always have it. And I said, either this child is asthmatic or something is wrong with this child. So everything started just replaying in my mind. He eventually almost hit me down with his car that night. And, I called one of my exes. This is a guy that I loved. And I said to him, guy number one, no, I said, I called to tell you that, today I went into the life insurance place and I found out I have HIV. I said, you need to get tested because you and I slept together. I think it was before I did the second test or after. So I said, go get tested. He's like, oh, that's why guy number one called me. I said, what? He said, yeah, guy number one just coming. He was talking a lot of gibberish. I was like, okay, then. I said, but I already told you about him that he's laughing at you. He's laughing at you saying, me don't get your ex already. And what I do with your ex and whatever. So he's there drinking with him, thing there. And I'm warning him and say, be careful of this guy because he knows that I used to talk to him. Um, guys, it was a roller coaster. I
So
waited.
hold on, Alicia. So he called guy number two to say what to him now? That you,
No, guy number one called my ex, one of my exes that I heads over heels love this
oh,
guy
okay,
to the
okay.
moon and back.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew him and he knew that I was with him. So when he found out, he told that guy. But my ex said to me, "Oh, that's why I'm coming and talk about your foolishness." But
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't really understanding what was happening. So when I call him, it's like something said, "Call him." So when I called him was just to nick that in the bud to let him know that I just found out because I don't know what the first guy said to him,
Right.
right? And when he was leaving, he almost hit me down in his car, and I'm like, okay. As I said, I spoke to guy number two. Him said, if him find out, him said, man, kill me. And the third guy said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope you're taking your medication and you're taking care of yourself. But as I said, it was a roller coaster for an entire week because I had to retest just to make sure. I prayed, I fasted, I could not eat, I couldn't sleep because nobody wants to hear this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And even after I slept with the first guy, he still wanted to sleep with me in regardless him knowing my status. And he always wanted that he always wanted to have unprotected sex. And I could never understand. He knew that I was with somebody else when I was with the second guy, and he never wanted to use condom. And one day I said, "Why don't you use condom? I'm with somebody else, and we don't use condom." He said, "Because he doesn't like it." And he would say, "Okay, we're gonna have to use it." And then when I would link up back with him, he's not using it. But recalling the day when he said to me that I can't be in and out of a relationship like that. He had told me that I have a sister that found out that she have AIDS and she mad at war 21. That started to come back to me, and I'm like, why was he telling me this?
Sounds
You
as if
know?
he was telling you indirectly
Yes,
that
I
this
believe so.
was what was happening.
Yes, I believe so. And one of the things that hurted me the most is that all of the guys that I've been with, my life is an open book. I've never hid anything from anybody. So to know that I went through all of what I went through in my past, and then for you to knowing that you have this, you didn't give me the free will to say that in spite of I will still love you, I still want to be with you. You did this, and I'm in return thinking that I would have done the same thing to because no, I've been hurt, and there's a saying that says hurting people hurt people. I would have done the same thing, but when I think about it could be his wife, his baby mother, I said, no, Alice, you don't have it in you to do that. I thought about killing him,
Hmm.
poisoning him, all the things, the emotions and everything. And I said, you know what? I said, God, the only thing that I want to know is who did it and for them to come and apologize because I would forgive them, right? Because I've been in relationships after, and I've given the men the choice to choose if they want to stay or if they want to go, right? I don't want it to be said that somebody found out that I have it, and then you go to my partner and you tell them, you should hear it from the horse's mouth, you should hear it from me, right? So, and I sat and I thought about a lot of stuff, and I'm saying I could understand guy number two's reaction, because you're upset. But guy number one, you kind of throw me off, and guy number three is now deceased. Guy number two, he put me through hell, meaning I kept on trying to keep in touch with him just to make sure he's okay. And for 5 years, he never spoke to me. He never said anything till eventually I got through to him and he said he just wanted me to pay for what I would have caused, but he's okay. Guy number one, he kept on calling me. Then one morning he called me like 2 o'clock in the morning and he said, Alicia, um, it's true that you're sick. I said, what are you talking about? It's true that you have that in there. I said, what are you talking about? I said, are you talking about HIV? Him say, yeah. I said, yeah. Him say, all the time, I never believe. I said, what? This is like 2, 3 years. We mean you didn't believe. He said, me think a joke you did a make. Him said, but I can't understand because my baby mother, she did a medical and she's okay. So if she okay, that means okay. I said, not necessarily.
No.
So I said, come, let us do a test. Him said, him soon do a test, and whatever. In all honesty, I don't know which one out of the three gave
Right.
it to me. 15 years later, I don't know which one.
So you are now I mean, living with this for
Hmm.
15 years, still not sure who gave it to you.
No.
Um, However, one other thing about, because you did mention that you were molested, you were also raped. And
Right.
as a result, yes, studies prove that children who have been molested or raped sexually, they usually turn out to be promiscuous because
Mhm.
they're searching. What they're looking for is really love, to find
Right.
a place of belonging. And
Right.
so lots of persons, lots of females, it happens to male as well. Lots of
Right.
them know go after. One study says that a, a female could have more than 50, sexual partners because each partner they're searching for. I mean, you're trying to find something that is missing, and so you're
Right.
going after. So it's like, and I want persons to understand that it is almost like an illness where you can't help yourself.
Right.
A lot of times we look down on persons in society because of the lifestyle that they live, but we
Right.
fail to understand that there are underlying issues, right? So for somebody
Right.
who had that experience, yes, unless interventions were done where you had gone through counseling and all of that, where you could understand, but usually, yeah, that is what happened, moving from
Right.
one sexual partner to the other, just to find some sort of, as I say, belonging. And it's like you're trying to gratify yourself, and it's not happening here. You didn't find it there, and so you move on.
Right. Right.
Guys, you're gonna have to come back next week as we continue with this intriguing testimony. A life who didn't ask to be violated, but she was violated more than once. And as a result, it pushed her, down a dark path, a path that, resulted in her becoming, having many sexual partners to the point where she was infected. And up to date, is still not sure. Based on her testimony, you would, viewers, make your own calculation and say, says that one, I have made mine. But she still will not point fingers to say, oh, it is that one or it was that one. It cannot be something easy. But when we come back, she's going to tell us now how she was able to pick up herself, after getting this devastating news. Must have been traumatized and victimized by everybody. The closest persons to you, who probably persons that she thought she could trust. So guys, remember, share this video with somebody, leave a comment, and if you have not yet subscribed to Motivations and Memoirs, remember to do so now. And you have to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you will hear, you get the click on your phone and know when part 2 comes out. Thank you so much. See you next week. Walk good.